All right, all right, all right. How's it going, Kiera?
Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
All right, everybody. Welcome to our monthly conversation with our financial wellness ministry. We want to thank everybody that has joined in. Those that are joining us, if you could do me a favor and go ahead and share the post, I would be extremely appreciative. Again, everyone that's joined in, if you can go ahead and share the post, and I would be extremely appreciative. Now, I present Kiera Hall, our financial wellness ministry coordinator for Greater Bethel AME Church.
Hello, hello, everyone. This month, we're going to be talking about a financial vision for 2023. And, it's that time of the year where, we just passed Thanksgiving. And many times during Thanksgiving, we'll start to think about gratitude, what we're grateful for. And then we go into December and we have Christmas. But something that many people do is they'll start doing the vision board parties, and they'll start to create beautiful boards and pictures, and just start focusing on those goals and dreams. Or a really popular is New Year's resolution. So today, I really want us just to slow down. I think that, one of the issues that I've faced, and, possibly you have faced it, is you kind of, where you want to go, what you want, but you're not quite sure maybe of the plan of how to get there. Um, and so you find yourself having that end goal, but so you find yourself never really taking the time to break it down into actionable steps. And so I love this phrase, um, ACT. When we talk about actionable steps, there's this acronym I really like that talks about, you know, A is for apply, you know. And so there's this game plan, and there's these things we're learning, but how are we going to apply it? What type of environment, that time of the year? And so I'm going to talk about that today and talk about some ideas and different strategies that can help. The C in ACT is for change, right? And if we keep doing the same things, nothing will change. Now, if you are completely happy where you are and what you're doing is working for you, then keep doing the same thing. But if you want something different, then you got to change and make adjustments. And I genuinely believe that if we're not growing, we're dying. And so we should constantly be improving and getting better and learning. And then the last part of it, this is a bit different, but the T is for teach. And so I want to challenge you that as you set goals, as you go into the new year and you're learning some things and you're applying and changing, I want to challenge you and encourage you to teach it to others, because that's going to do a couple of things for you. The person who knows it the best is the teacher. And so by you taking what you learn and deciding to go and teach it, it's really going to help input that information into you, but also it's going to help hold you accountable as well to continue moving forward in the right direction. So it's like discipleship. And I know whenever I would have someone that, would want me to be their mentor, I was a better Christian because of it. Because I had someone who I was teaching, someone who I was leading, because now I'm like, okay, I really got to make sure I'm on it. Like, and it was like I would study not only for myself, but now I'm like, okay, let me study and get this so that I can be able to give it and present it well to someone else. And so we're gonna talk about this when it comes to our finances. So the first step is you got to get a clear, concise mental picture of, a specific financial goal, what you want and when you want it. That way you can begin breaking it down. And then after you get that picture, you have to determine what is it going to take. And so I've been guilty of setting like really big goals, but then not being realistic about what is the price that is going to need to be paid to hit this goal, and then am I willing to pay the price? So we want to set realistic goals that we're willing to apply, and then we're going to have to make some changes. But when it comes to changes, environment is everything. Environment is everything. And so we got to get ourselves into environments that encourage what we're doing. What does that look like? Maybe joining a Facebook group that's all about budgeting. If you're really wanting to make sure you budget, maybe joining that group, hearing some of the testimonies, being encouraged, getting tips, like community helps. I am constantly surrounded by people who, like, every week I hear it. You got to save your money. You got to save your money. You got to invest. You got to become financially independent. You got to have a budget. And so guess what? I'm constantly reviewing my budget, figuring out, okay, how can I save? How can I, work harder to do this, cut back on this? Like I'm constantly thinking about financial improvements because I'm in an environment of people who are pushing me to financially improve. These Tuesday nights are those type of environments. And so when we go into having a financial vision for 2023, my hope is that it would be a domino effect, that it would be something to where you're creating that financial vision for this upcoming year, but then you also get some long-term goals that 2023 leads into. And there are two key financial goals that I think everybody should set, or at least one, because some people, the second one, they don't have to worry about that. But the first one is you should set a net worth goal, a net worth. And so your net worth is super simple. It's your assets minus your liabilities. And then your assets, once you do that, and I have it, it's okay. There's a network tracker and I'll find it and share it. It's from the book Secrets of a Millionaire Mind, which I'm reading right now. It's really good. But it just helps you to get in tune. And I want to encourage you to track your net worth. Like every month, look back at it. Run the numbers. Where are my assets? Where are my liabilities? Where am I at? Because when you do that, it's going to bring your focus and attention to it, and you'll start being more mindful. And since I've started doing it, my net worth has been increasing because I've been paying off, some debt, some credit cards, getting rid of some stuff, minimizing bills. Um, and so the first goal that I think everybody should set is a net worth goal. By the end of 2023, what do you want your net worth to be? What And maybe you've never done that before, but I think it's going to be so important, because the vision is going to carry you and it's going to help you be headed in the right direction. And then when you start working on those small goals like budgeting and saving, you have this overall vision of, okay, here's the number that I want, and this is why I want this number. And that's at the end of 2023. And then the the bigger net worth goal for some of you, it could be 2023. I don't know where you're at financially, but the ultimate net worth goal should be not just into 2023, but a what's called a financial independence net worth goal. And financial independence is where you are no longer dependent on the job or dependent on government, because you have enough assets that create enough income to pay for your lifestyle. So whether you work or not, some people call that retirement. I like to call it financial independence, because I believe as Christians, we never truly retire. We're always doing the work of the Lord. It may not be on a job, but I don't think retirement is necessarily in the Bible. I think God wants us to always be serving and working and like living out our purpose and doing ministry to the day that we die. So I like to say the financial independence goal as opposed to retirement, where you're no longer dependent on a government or a job. And so that's the net worth piece. And an easy way to think about it is, for example, if you had $1 million, $1 million could generate you 50,000 a year, most likely, for the rest of your life. You'd be fine. 2 million, 100,000 a year for, and I'm doing like modest estimates and numbers, and even if somebody had something like a guaranteed type income, like a variable annuity that they have that money in, to where they have that guaranteed income with the there's difference. I won't get into the specifics of investments of it, but the rule of 72 basically lets us know that our money will double when we take our interest rate and divide it into 72. So if we have a 12% every 6 years, and the sooner we are able to stack up money, the better that rule works for us, because we have bigger numbers compounding. Like 1 million, in 6 years becomes 2 million, versus 100 in 6 years become 200. So the bigger we get that number, and the sooner and the faster, the more time we have for it to double. So we want to be aggressive in our earlier years to get our money working for us as best as possible for that particular net worth goal. So I want to encourage you all to start thinking, what is my net worth goal for December 31st, 2023? What do I want my net worth to be? And then once you figure that out, you can begin backtracking and figuring out, okay, well, if my net worth is going to be this, I'm going to need to pay down this debt. I'm going to need to put away this much money a month. Like, you could begin to start reverse engineering what it will take to hit that goal. Maybe it's like, I need to do some part-time work to bring some extra income to help hit that goal, or maybe I need to cut back on a couple of things. But you can start looking at your finances from a bigger perspective as opposed to day by day, week by week, month by month. And then you'll be able to start being more intentional because you have that vision for what you want your net worth to be in 2023. And then you figure out, okay, when do I want to be financial independent? Well, the two questions are, how much money does it take for you to be financially independent? That's different for everybody. One person might say, well, I'll be just fine off $3,000 a month. We'll live in the RV, we'll travel, or I'll take my money, I'll go live in another country. Another person might say, well, I need $10,000 a month. So depending on what your number is going to determine what that ultimate financial independence number is. And then once you figure out that ultimate number, you'll start to know, okay, this is what I need to do to get on track to hit that goal. So the first one was a net worth goal. And then the second goal is and it ties right into the net worth goal. But everybody should have a debt freedom goal. Be looking at those debts and have a goal and say, okay, by next year, I want to have this much debt paid off, or I want to have all my debt paid off. But have a goal to get rid of that debt, because debt is the enemy to wealth. Debt is the enemy to wealth. There is, I'm gonna share some numbers with you all that might get you thinking. And the average car payment, and I've shared this before, but the average car payment is, $500 a month. Actually, it's more than that, but I'm just doing 500 for easy math in my head. And so, if someone gets themselves in a position where they're, save up and buy a car and it's not as expensive, or they get a really good car and then roll that thing till it can't roll no more and don't have a car payment for a while. If you were 30 years old and let's say I love Toyota Camry. That's like one of my favorite cars. I know it's quick to fix. The parts are not as expensive and it lasts for a long time. My dad's Nissan Titan, that thing lasts him a super long time too. But when you set that goal, I want to show you if you started at age, 30.
Kira, do you think you share your screen? Are you trying to share your screen?
No.
Oh, okay, okay,
Yeah. So if you started at age 30, I'll just pull up my calculator real quick.
okay.
Getting rid of that car payment and kind of just staying away from that alone, that adds an extra 2.2 million just from 30 to 65, a car payment, and when I look at that number, there's not a lot of people who have 2.2 million at age 65. And so, we could begin to kind of put things in perspective, onto how we want to spend our money and what is it going to do for us. And when it comes to creating the vision, I think the only way you can create a vision is if you really get clear on, like, you start asking those questions. What do I want retirement to look like? Do I want to travel in retirement? Do I want to stay in my same house? Am I going to downgrade and stay in a smaller house? I think sometimes we have to slow down and we have to just think, how do I want life to be? And then once we do that, we can start to begin to engineer and plan for what we want that future to look like. And it's tough. It's tough, but I've heard somebody say you got to choose your tough. You can, make the tough decisions now and having a, amazing future, or you can make the easy decisions now and just live life however you want and then have a tough future. It's gonna be tough either way. So it's like we got to choose our tough. And this is just a time in the year. I want it to be just slow. I'm hoping that you're just thinking, like, beyond just paying my bills, what do I want my debt situation to look like? What do I want my net worth to be? Because that's what wealthy people think about. You know, there's this book I love. It's called The Wealth Choice, and it's about Black millionaires. And in the book, they were talking about how like poor people are essentially like in survival mode. They're just thinking about today and just like kind of taking care of. And then it was saying like um the people in the middle, I don't know if it was like middle class or what the label was, but this book was specifically, I think, talking about Black people. And what it was saying was they are looking at, material things, that Mercedes Benz or that, I don't even know much name brands, but like that, these specific, I just saw something Balenciaga, I think that's what it's called. But like these name brands and just into looking good. But it was saying that wealthy people, they're not talking about what car and this name brand, but now, and I'm not talking about the rappers because that's how they make their money, talking and promoting all that stuff. And I'm talking about just regular wealthy people. Um, they're focused on their net worth. How much is in the bank account? How much is in the investment account? And that's where we got to switch our mindset to, because when we build wealth, we begin to, operate from a whole different place. When we're in survival mode, we're not really able to be as creative. it's just, it's stress. It's trying to figure it out. But when you begin to discipline yourself, create abundance, that's when I believe you really begin to, be, and do, all that you're called to be and do, because you move beyond just thinking about survival and wealth. You're actually able to be creative and walk in your gifts and your talent and give what God has put inside of you to be able to give to the world. And so I think the ultimate goal for everyone has to be personal, financial independence for yourself and your family. And the beautiful thing about it is when you set it up right, you're setting up for generations to come. When you get that million, that 2 million, you put yourself in position just to live on the interest of that. And that thing will continue to grow and grow, and the next generation gets it, and the next generation. And the focus is on, building that net worth and having financial freedom. And that's, when you're in that position where you're able to say, you know what, with the interest on my investments alone, I can go and buy somebody a house. I can go and bless that single mom with a car. I can go and, help this family and do something special. So and I want to, my philosophy, and and if it's not yours, don't go with it. If it doesn't make sense to you, or if you don't feel good about it, don't do it. But my philosophy is bag goals. Big, hairy, audacious goals. Bag, BHAG. And I kind of just got that thinking to where if you aim, for the sun, and if you miss it, you still hit the moon. And so I like those stretching goals, those big, go for it. Because at the end of the year, worst case scenario, you're so much further than you ever thought you would be. You were going for something really big. You didn't hit it, but you still went far. And so what is truly your heart's desire? What do you want next year? I'll share it. My goal is that by December 31st, 2023, I'm debt free. I currently have $74,000 in debt between like student loans and vehicles and different things like that. So that's a big goal for me. And then my net worth goal, and I was wrestling with it. And I was like, this is a huge net worth goal, but um, or at least for me it is. For someone else, it might be nothing. But my net worth goal is 100,000. So I would love for you all to, by the end of 2023, um, which basically means living off, my husband's income and paying bills, and then me, working to build the business and just fighting just to put away everything and just really living a sacrifice, disciplined life, and not really getting into buying a whole bunch of the things that, you know, are so enticing. You watch, they got new jewelry and, you know, there's just so many things out there that just, and for me it's the electronics you want to spend your money on. But when you get clear about that goal and you get focused in on it and you go after it, it becomes fun, especially if you get, like, I have one of those thermometers where you can highlight it and fill it up as you hit the goal, so it's really exciting. And then when you set goals, I also want to encourage you to get your kids involved. And we're talking about the financially responsible, fun side of all these goals, but I also want to pull out another side that I want to you as well. And then I'm going to
Before you
open it
talk,
for discussion.
before you talk about the, before you talk about the other side, I want to comment that I think it is a good idea to know your net worth and be able to monitor your net worth. Um, and there's I for business I use QuickBooks, but for personal I use Quicken, and I've used it since probably 99 2000. And so, and a lot of times those kind of that kind of software right there, if you use it to handle all of your business, you can put your assets in there, you can put your, you put everything in there, and connect it to your different accounts, your retirement accounts, your homes, different things like that, and it really just does it for you automatically. And so even though it's always there, but Michonne and I, we make sure that once a year that we just go and look at that and compare it to next year, because what happens is when you're monitoring your net worth, you get to see how your actions or your activity, how it affects your net worth. And so and so like say if it's your house, under normal situations, I mean, your network is increasing, 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 because your amount that you owe, your liability on the house is decreasing, and the value is increasing, and so you see your network growing. While on the other hand, let's say if you went and bought a brand new car, so say I just purchased a new truck, and if I would tried to purchase that truck new, I mean, new as in store new, I probably would have spent about $30,000 more. Um, but I chose not to go new because I knew that it would affect my net worth. And anytime you purchase a car, for the most part, not anytime, but for the most part, unless you're talking about some type of antique or something, but for the most part, it's going to negatively impact your net worth. But if you can get something that um, that just makes sense, that can have least impact on your net worth, whether you can pay it cash or whether you buy it used, but it's still in good shape with a warranty, and that has little, less impact, negative impact on your net worth. And so I think that's a real good piece that you added in by being able to monitor your net worth, because it lets you know, because some people have activity, financial activity, but they don't realize how it's affecting, positive or negative, their net worth. But if you're keeping up with that, you get a chance to see what your activity does. And so it helps you make wise decisions, because in the end, that net worth is what you're going to have to depend on. And, when you're not actually getting out and grinding every day. And that's what you're going to have to lean on. And so the net worth piece, I like that a lot.
Yes, and it what you track, you can improve. Like, I remember, like, I fell off of it. I was on, like, my weight loss journey, and so I got on the scale every morning. That was like the first thing I did. and I lost 30 pounds in like 3 months. I was very intentional. I knew I was going to be getting on that scale. So I was mindful of what I ate. Instead of going for the PB&J sandwich, maybe I went, for the apple. Instead of snacking on chips, I snacked on grapes. It was really intentional. I still was going to eat because I wanted to be satisfied. So I'd be eating all day, but I was mindful and intentional about my calories. I realized, like, hey, you know, an Impossible Burger at Burger King, like that whole meal is gonna be like 1,000 calories. I could be just as satisfied with some veggies and some rice and some stuff from home, and it's gonna be way less calories. And so because I was tracking it, I was able to be mindful and intentional. And to get wealthy, it definitely requires being intentional. And something I learned about people who win the lottery, there's a high percentage of them that are broke or like bankrupt within 5 years. And so, to be wealthy and stay wealthy, it's hard, but being broke is hard. And so we got to choose our hard, and just be intentional. And I want to read you a couple of quotes, but I'm going to go into the second vision, like the second part of it. So we talked about the responsible side, tracking that debt, being intentional. Okay, you're going to get a car, but that was an amazing choice, 30,000 less. And guess what? It still looks good and it drives the same, but $30,000 less. And that was one of the things I read in the book, that wealthy people don't buy brand new cars. They don't. They'll get that one that that somebody drove off the lot and the value depreciated and they get it for less, and it's still that nice car. um and so the other side of the financial goals, and I didn't do this, but I'm super excited, I've been talking to my kids about it for 2023, is I want to encourage you to set some fun financial goals. Maybe you already do this, maybe you do it too much, I don't know. But for me, I never really did it. And now I'm like, I'm going to be intentional and start to plan for that. And so a fun goal, me and my kids, we picked out a cruise. Me and my husband, my kids, and I'm super excited. I've never been on a cruise before. So now, in addition to, I'm like, okay, working on getting out of the debt, working on saving. But you know what? I also want to have some fun and live life. Tomorrow's not promised, and I want to enjoy the time that God has given me and do things with my family and enjoy that now as well. And so I think there's balance in being responsible, but also enjoying your money too. But it all just simply comes with planning. And so, I set a vacation goal, and it's, when I was looking at a cruise for like six, you can't get a regular stateroom, you got to get a suite. And one of the ones I was looking at, I was like, what? It was like over 10 grand. I was like, oh my gosh. I'd never looked at cruise prices before, but I was like, this is a memory that we create, something we fun, something to, work hard for, and then be able to feel that reward and just celebrate the hard work, with my husband and kids. And so, what is something fun that you're going to do with your money in 2023? So we're going to get
But
out of
I,
debt. Huh?
yeah, and but I think with something like that, it still turns into an investment. When I think about, when I was in school, and it's probably the same way now, but like tests like SATs and things like that, a lot of times they were difficult for us, not necessarily because the questions were hard, but there were some life experiences that we never that we did that they were used to. People, some people were used to. They had been to the Grand Canyon, they had been here, they had been there, but a lot of times with us, it was new to us, and so it wasn't something that we had naturally experienced. And so I think even with things like that, it's still an investment into the children. We spent money, we had fun, but it exposed them to something that's going to affect their success. Because on a lot of those standardized tests, I once I became an admissions officer at UF and learned the details of the test. A lot of it had to do with experiences. It might use a word like veranda. And, being from Duval Heights, and Cocoa and Quitman, Georgia was like our big trips. You know, we it was a porch to us, and so if you would have said porch, I would know exactly what you were talking about. But when you say veranda, that wasn't our experience, and so when I answer that question wrong, it's not that I don't understand what a porch is. I just didn't understand that word because I was never exposed to it. So even things like that, if you still think about it, they're still investments. And so I'm spending money, but it's an investment because it exposes my children and it's going to help them out later on, maybe get a scholarship or something like that.
That's good. It definitely is an investment. It is. And one thing that I realized is, and this wasn't in the Wealth Choice, it was in another book that I was reading. But enthusiasm and excitement really was a contributing factor to success and doing well. And so simply going on that vacation, increasing that enthusiasm and excitement for life, I think will help you to make even more money because you're like, I want to go on another vacation. I want to do more. I enjoy this. I'm going to work harder. Um, so, we're not even in December yet. We're almost there, but this is a perfect time to take a deep breath, slow down, maybe even get at the kitchen table with your spouse and your kids and go to the Dollar Tree and get some whiteboards, or maybe you already got a vision board, so maybe you pull it out and review it, maybe add some things to it. But this is a perfect time of the year to reflect on 2022 and some good questions that we can ask ourselves when we reflect on 2022 is, what did I do really well in 2022? What did I do really well? And reflect on that and do more of that. And then the other question was, what did I not do so well at? What did I not like? What could have been better? And reflect on that, sit in that, and then begin to think, okay, how can I change it? And what things can I do differently, going forward to make a difference so that things can be different, so that things can be better. This is a great time, and you know to be able to take that time, and we do it with the church. Many people, we do it for business, but I encourage you to do it with your family. Now, it was funny, all our kids are little, so I don't think they get it. We were talking with them the other night. I'm trying to remember what Nyla said. I was like, what, girl, that is not a vision. But I can't even remember what it was she said. But I was like, so Nyla, what are your goals, your vision for 2023? Oh man, I can't remember what it was. I just remember it made me laugh because I was like, that is not a vision. So maybe if your kids are really little like mine, you might not be able to get as into it with them, but you could probably help them out. Maybe they don't know what some visions or goals are. You could help them with some goals. Like, when we're sitting with Bella, she does gymnastics. So, maybe some of her goals might be to, you know, do be able to do a front flip or a back flip. Some gymnastics goals. Also, you can set financial goals with your kids. Like for my kids, I have UPMA accounts. UPMA is just an investment account for kids. UPMA stands for Uniform Transfer to Minors Act. You're able to open up investment accounts for your kids. So I, as an investment as a professional, I've opened up some for my kids. And so, I could talk to them about a net worth goal, even for my kids. They're going to have birthdays, Christmas, random people just giving them money, right? Here, $1 here, $20 there. We could talk about that net worth goal because they get really excited about, numbers and how much money you got. We could talk about that investment account. Like, hey, maybe Bella, by the end of the year, what if your net worth goal, is $10,000? You know how exciting that would be? 10,000 for a $10,000 for a 7-year-old, that's huge. Because let me tell you, and I get excited about the numbers, so I'm gonna just show you what that looks like. Let's say you have a 7-year-old and they get their net worth to 10,000 by the end of 2023. Maybe they, you know, help you out with some things, or maybe they get into modeling, or maybe they, when I was younger, I used to sell candy. Sometimes I can make like $200 in a week selling candy. Like, kids know how to make money. They can, they do not mind. I know some of my friends, they have their kids in their front yard. They got a lemonade stand, baked cookies, all type of things. Could be creative and like aggressively work for it. But let's say $10,000, and then from there, just something as simple as 600 a year. That's $50 a month. Even if they just do that for the next 15 years. So for a 6-year-old, that's till 21, right? And then, in 15 years, what would that be? That would be 65,000. But then if you take that 65,000 and you never touch it and you just let it sit, you just let that 65,000 sit for the next 20 years. That 65,000 would be 479,000. So now you're talking about somebody who's 41 years old, 475,000. What if we had let it sit the next 30 years? Now that's 1.2 million by 50. All from a little kid who had a net worth goal of 10 grand, and then their parents contributed $50 a month, help them get that 10 grand. And y'all know tax time is going to be coming up. And a lot of people, especially people, who are maybe, middle class, don't necessarily make high incomes, but they got a lot of kids, you're going to get a big old tax refund. If you had a $2,000 tax refund and you just put that away for your kids and they didn't touch it till they were 60, you never added another dime, that 2,000 would grow to 787,000. And so I think as you set net worth goals for yourself, you could also look into, setting some net worth goals for your kids, even $1,000. Let's say you got a 10,000. For a 1-year-old, you put that 1,000 away and, it just sits there till they're 65. They don't touch it till their retirement age. That $1,000 would grow to $647,000, never adding another dime. What if they added $300 a month? Oh my gosh, now it becomes 2.6 million, not a month, $300 a year, $25 a month, 2.6 million. You set them up with 1,000 as a baby, and then $25 a month. Y'all, but it takes focus. And here goes the exciting thing. I'm throwing out all type of numbers. Even if you said, you know what, I can't do all that, but I can do $25 a month. I can do that. And that's the only thing. That is powerful. That alone, you get that just simply $25 a month habit for your baby, and then have them carry it on from 0 to 65. That's 1.9 million. $25 a month. So I want to read the quotes. So here goes 3 quotes I want to read. Y'all should look this gentleman up. He's written a couple of books. He's a professor, phenomenal. His name is Dennis Kimbro. Dennis Kimbro. And he has this book. It's called The Wealth Choice. He has another book called Think and Grow Rich, but it's not the original Think and Grow Rich. It's like Think and Grow Rich for Black people. It's like the Black version of Think and Grow Rich. Let me see, Think and Grow Rich. Let me look it up real quick. But look him up, Dennis Kimbro, by Dennis Kimbro. Yeah, it's called Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice. So Dennis Kimbro really focuses on Black wealth. But his principles is just wealth principles, but he really does research, focuses, interviews, Black millionaires, and it's phenomenal. So here goes a couple of quotes from him. And I'll actually share my screen. That way y'all can see the quotes. So let's see. So share. And I'll make that bigger. Oh, let me see. Share. Can y'all see it? Okay. So I just want to read a couple of quotes from the Wealth Choice. I'm going to reread this book. It's really good, y'all. So he says, let others lead small lives, but not you. Let others argue over small things, but not you. Let others cry over small hurts, but not you. Let others leave their future in someone else's hands, but not you. And remember the four things that never return: the spoken word, the speeding arrow, the wasted life, and the neglected opportunity. And I'm only going to read these three quotes, and then I'm just going to open it up for what comments that anybody has. I love this quote as well. It says, "The future never takes care of itself. It's taken care of, shaped, molded, and colored by the present. Our todays are what our yesterdays made them. Our tomorrows must inevitably be the product of our todays." And so in reality, 2023 starts now, because the things that we're doing now are preparing and leading into 2023. We don't have to wait till January 1st for a New Year's resolution to start doing things. If we want to get healthy, we can start eating better now. We can start exercising now. We can be intentional, take control of our life today. And then this third quote is, "As I preach to my congregation every Sunday, when it comes to staying afloat financially and living within your means, there is nothing easy about easy payments. Learn to say the words, I can't afford it." Kirby John Caldwell. And this is a quote in the Well Choice. And that last one is really good, y'all, with affirm. And, they have all these quick things where you can just easily shop on Amazon and you can split it up. And I think they got Klarma, split it up in 4 easy payments. That's the devil. Y'all beware of that. Don't be afraid to say I can't afford it. It's not in my budget. I just told someone that I'm like, yeah, that's not in my budget. Not in my budget. So any comments, questions? We've covered
Will,
a lot.
will, will you read that fourth one by Benjamin Mays limit about setting goals?
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Benjamin Mays, President Emeritus of Morehouse College: not to reach one's goal is not nearly as bad as having no goal to reach. Amen. Amen. That's good. That is so
Yeah,
good.
that goes along with what you said in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's even though you might set you said that sometimes you set your goals real high, but the idea is that at least you have something that you're shooting for, as opposed to no goal at all, and then you kind of just out there floundering, and whatever happens, it happens. But there was no plan involved.
Yeah. I love setting big goals. Like, you got to set a goal you can get excited about, and then you go after it. You go after it. And something I think that's so important is that each day, at the end of the day, you ask yourself, what went well today? What went
I was
well?
I was looking at this the book that you talked about. I just purchased it, and it says approximately 35% of African Americans had no measurable assets in 2009, and 24% of these same households had only a motor vehicle. And that's something that we have to really look at. The fact that, like, no assets. And so that means that everything that you're acquiring, either you're paying somebody else and somebody else owns it, or the things that you're buying, they're not an asset as it relates to the debt. So you're actually upside down, and so and And the fact that, but out of those, that out of the 35%, that a quarter of them, all they had was a car, you know, to call an asset. And so that's something that we really have to make sure that we're teaching, in whatever venues that we have the opportunity to teach to people. And so we do all this teaching about Jesus, but that kind of stuff is Jesus, being wise about the resources that he gives us and being good stewards. And those are the kind of teachings that we really need.
Yep.
Reverend Ross, can you give
Yes,
me a
sir.
can you give me a yeah, can you give me an example of what you just said about assets? Just something brief
So
that I can catch.
So let's say I rent my house and I purchased a new car. And so let's say I purchased a $50,000 new car a couple years ago. And so that $50,000 car after 2 years is probably going to be worth maybe between 30 and 35,000. But I still owe $43,000 on it. And in my house I don't own. And so I don't have assets or things that the value of things that I own. And so I have stuff, I'm living life, but I don't own anything. And so you might think that, wow, I'm living a good life because I drive a nice car, I live in a nice house. But the reality is if you don't own that house, you're adding to somebody else's network, and it's their asset. You're just helping pay
I
for
got you.
their asset.
I got you. Thank
Yeah. Yeah. And like my little tracker, like I gotta make sure I share it. Um I'm gonna put it in the GBGville. We have a group chat that's a financial wellness section. So if you go to gbgville.com, there's like a little area we have. So I'll upload it in there if anybody wants that network. Like if you want to go old school, like the way I'm doing it, it's a paper that you print out. New school, you can download, Quicken like my dad does. Um, and just simply being intentional. And then, yeah. So, this is really good. And I think it's so important that we reflect often, even on a daily basis. That's going to be how we get better. What ends up happening when we don't reflect, when we don't track, is we look and we're like, oh my gosh. Like I have a friend, she's debt free now, but she her testimony, she was 27 or 8, and she was in 100,000 in credit card debt, and she didn't even know it. She ended up getting a program. She paid off all her debt within, I think, 7 years. But like getting a game plan together. But she increased her income, started building her financial services business, and um track stuff. When we don't pay attention to it, it can just get out of control. It can get really bad. Like, and that's with everything. If we're not tracking and paying attention to it, like being mindful, being intentional, with marriage, being intentional about going on those dates, having conversations, and just checking in emotionally, and communicating, with raising children, being intentional with our health, you know. I remember there was a point where my husband was eating a whole bunch of eggs and just kind of like just a lot of like fast food and stuff, just not really being mindful. And then we went to increase our life insurance, and when they did the medicals, come find his blood pressure was a little high. And so it's so important that we track. But after that, thank God he was able to see what was going on, and he started being more mindful. Start eating all that junk food. Stop eating a million and one eggs.
you. Yeah, I hear what you're saying on that. Can I tell my own story?
Mm-hmm.
No, I was just going by what you said.
Oh,
That
but
sounded kind of like me or one time.
if we don't track it,
You're right.
and next thing you know, we're, you know, heavier. Like I got on the scale last night, and I hadn't got on the scale maybe in like a month or so. I haven't been tracking it, but now I'm gonna get back on it. Like I was just talking to my friend Ashley. We're gonna keep each other accountable. But I was up 3 pounds, and I was like, like I lost 30, right? But now I'm down to only lost 27 because when I got on the scale, I was up 3. So now I'm like, okay, it can be so easy. And over time, it could get really bad. So, this is the time to reflect and to be intentional and to pour into ourselves by reading and growing.
Velma Ross said, "Great session this evening, and I am in prayer of choosing my tough." You remember sometime earlier you said, "Well, it's tough to be poor. It is tough to be." You talked about those two toughs, and you got to choose which tough you want. And
Yeah.
she said, where did it disappear? She said, "I'm in prayer of choosing my tough. I have visions for but my goals are lacking. Back to the vision board I go." Yeah. So
Man, what does the Bible say? The Bible says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. We have to remember that. Sometimes we have goals, and, it might seem like when you decide that you want to go after something, it's like everything is coming against you. It's like, I forget, there's this theory, it's like what can go wrong will go wrong. It's like, oh my gosh, I am trying to do better. Like, why?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why does it seem like everything is coming against me? But I want to encourage you all today. I want to encourage you and let you know that we serve an amazing God. We serve the creator of the universe. I want to encourage you to tap into God. When it comes to building wealth, the in James, I think it's James 4:2, it's like we ask not, like we have not because we ask not. Ask God for what you want, then ask God to help show you how to do it. And I think the most important thing that as we set big goals, that we stay in this place of humility, that we're like Jesus was when he was going to go to the cross. He was like, take this cup from me. But then he was like, you know what, Lord, your will be done. And so as we're ambitious and we're excited and we're going after big goals and dreams, and, my goal is to be a billionaire by age 65. And so as we have these goals, I think the most important thing is nothing wrong with the big goals, but we have to say, okay, but God, your will be done, and always stay humbly submitted to God and what God wants us to do. And so it's like, I'm going after this, I'm building a business, but if at some point God tells me, hey, I want you to go be a missionary in this country, and then we have to be in that place where we have a humble and submitted heart, where we just simply want to be obedient to God and trust him in everything. Because ultimately, the most important thing is our spirit, because what's on this earth we can't take with us, but our spirit lives on forever. And so we want to make sure that is the priority and the foremost. But I believe God wants us to be blessed. Look right here. If you need wisdom, ask our generous God, and he will give it to you. He will not rebuke you for asking. So I want to close this out with this. God, I pray that you would give us wisdom on how to get out of debt. God, I ask you would give us wisdom on how to build our wealth. Give us wisdom in raising our children. God, I ask you give us wisdom in parenting. Give us wisdom in just everything that we do. Give us wisdom in our career, wisdom in our business. God, just give us wisdom in the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus. And how much time do I have left? It's 7:58. I kind of want to play a quick little, no, wait, how long is it? It is, sorry, y'all. I'm trying to see if I got enough time just to play this. Oh, it's only 11 seconds.
Kids are going to figure you out someday, man. You can be anybody you want to be. Really, Dad? Then how come you're not?
Okay, I'm gonna play something. Wait, how do I get back to it? Sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to just get it. It's only 12 seconds. Let me pull it up real quick. It's 12 seconds. I just want to play this as kind of like a kick in the butt as we go out of this meeting, like, you know, some motivation to like, come on, let's make it happen. Let's go. So
kids are gonna figure you out.
Wait, how do I? Sorry. Okay, there we go. Let me just share my screen. Share. Let me make sure my sound is sharing. Share sound, and I'm gonna play it. And it's only 12 seconds.
Kids are gonna figure you out someday, man. You can be anybody you want to be. Really, Dad? Then how come you're not? You can accomplish anything in the world you want, sweetheart. Well, why haven't you, Mom? They're watching you.
All right. Whew. Hey, any of y'all got some kids? Let that be some motivation. We can't be telling our kids that you can accomplish the world, you can do whatever, but then we sitting up here, well, I don't know. Come on now, we Christians. We over here telling all things are possible, that we can do all things through Christ give us strength. You know, baby, you can do it. I constantly hear encouragement from people. But your kid's gonna figure you out. Are you just talking, or are you really about it? And when you do that, when you step up and you do something special, you pave the path. And I just want to give gratitude, you know, to my dad and Michonne for, you know, paving the path, for, you know, creating the opportunities and helping us to be able to operate, you know, more so from creativity as opposed to just surviving, and blessing us and giving us that step up that we don't have to start from ground zero. And I'm super grateful. But y'all, your kids watching you, people watching you, they're gonna figure you out. So let's go make it happen. Let's do something special 2023. Let's create some big visions, and we can do all things through Christ who gives us strength.
Well, one thing, Kiara, I got out the lesson that towards Brad, what you just said about your dad and me, Sean, you know, embedding this stuff in you guys. And I thank God for you that you could have been selfish about this. And see, that's what God does. He blessed you to bless somebody else, because you could have said, me and my dad and my mom, we got out. Y'all got to get y'all. But you didn't do that. You made a platform where if you want it, here it is. And one thing I like about setting goals, like you say, it's almost like a dartboard. You might not hit the bullseye with your set, but you're going to hit the board. For instance, you said you wanted to be a millionaire, or whatever the case may be. I'll settle with a 100 there. You know what I'm saying? I'll be somebody's there. You understand what I'm saying? You know how, you know, I'm giving you what I got. But anyway, as long as we set a goal, the Bible tells us, we say it all the time, right? But we got to run with it now. Don't stop running. Keep striving. Reach for the stars. If you catch the moon on the way down, you did all right. I thank you, Kiara, for what you bringing to the table.
My pleasure. And I want to bring that home, because I talked about in the beginning. Go and teach somebody else. Go and talk to somebody else. Go ask somebody, hey, what's your vision for 2023? What's your vision for your finances? What you learned tonight, go and share that with someone else. Go ask your cousin, your auntie, the next person. Let's go have some fruitful conversation. Let's not talk about how, oh, they did me wrong, or, oh, they're so frustrating, oh, the church don't do that. How about, hey, what's your vision for 2023? How can I help you get there? Let's network. Maybe you're talking to somebody and they tell you, oh, my vision is to write a book. And you're like, oh, I wrote a book. And you can help point them to some resources, show them where they can upload, you know. So let's go out. Let's have fruitful conversations. And you never know. You go talk to people. Ask what the vision is. Share what your vision is. You don't know who you might run into that can help you reach your vision. You don't know who knows who. I was talking to somebody, sharing my husband's dream and vision. Come to find out, they coach professional sports, and they have an in with somebody who actually coaches in the pros, and they were like, oh, just send me some footage for your husband, I'll help. Share the vision, have fruitful conversations, and you'll go far. You don't know who's around you and what gifts people have, but let's come together, let's share our dreams together and go up together. So I won't carry it all long, but thank you, Byron. Let's go out, go teach one.
There you go.
Talk about it to somebody else. And if you don't, that's selfish.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, so peace and blessings, everybody. I'm excited to see where we're going to be at 2023. And I'll
Amen.
out if he has any final comments or announcements.
All right. All right. Good job. Good stuff. Again, once again, each month we always get something out of it. And if it bless you, share it with somebody. Send it directly to somebody. And because all we're about is just sharing information. I had a recently elected public official asked if he could speak with me, and and I met with him today, and he want tell me he really wants to get to know me and work with me, and and I explained to him. I said, I'm not, I don't want handouts from anybody. Um, all I really care about, I love everybody, but I want to help increase the net worth of my people. And so, as you create policies and opportunities, the largest percentage of my people are in East Gainesville, but we're all over Gainesville, but a larger percentage in East Gainesville. And we don't need handouts, but we need you to create infrastructure and opportunities so that my people can build their net wealth. Um, and I said, if I've talked about the houses, the new houses they're building over there by Lincoln Estates, and it says it's great that they're building houses over there that's $200,000 or $300,000. But when I think about buying a house, I don't want to buy the most expensive house in the neighborhood. I want to buy a house that's at the middle or down because I want everything else to pull me up. And so if the people are making that kind of investment in East Gainesville, where they're buying they're buying $300,000 homes, I need for you all to make sure that as you plan what you're going to improve and what you're going to bring things to the east side of Gainesville that's gonna pull the value of those homes up, and so that's really all I care about. I number one is preaching Jesus, but in preaching Jesus, you build people up, and that's what we do in this financial wellness ministry. We give the people information, our people, the information to strengthen themselves, even financially. So God bless you. You all have a wonderful week. Have a great one. Thank you, Kira.
Thank you. Good night.
All right.
All right. Y'all be good, man.